What's going on, man? We back with another video. Before we do us anything else, all praise to the Most High. Today we have the worst female gangsters deaths ever. Man, I'm already looking at some of these right now and it don't look good. Stay out of the streets. Let's get right into it.
Jakira K.I. Barnes.
We know about
Jakira
K.I.
Barnes, better known by her street names K.I. or Lil Snoop, was just 17 when she became one of the most feared female gang members in Chicago's history. Born in 1997, she was part of the Gangster Disciples St. Lawrence Boys or STL faction, also known as Fly Boy Gang, based in the violent Woodlawn neighborhood on Chicago's South Side. On the streets, K.I. wasn't just another face. She was a name people whispered about. Rumors said she had a body count of close to 20 between 2011 and 2014, earning her a deadly reputation as a shooter or hitter among rivals.
I've never seen nobody say 20 body. I've seen 7, I've seen 13, I've seen 12.
Her life had been marked by tragedy from the start. Her father was shot and killed before she even turned 1. That early loss set the tone for the kind of world she would grow up in, one where death was never far. Things only got worse when her close friend, 13-year-old Taekwon Tyler, was murdered in 2013. From that moment on, she changed her Twitter handle to Taekwon Assassin and vowed to get revenge. K.I. was later linked to the 2011 murder of rival Black Disciple member Odie Perry, a killing that made her name ring even louder in the streets. After Odie's death, the area he came from became known as O Block, a name that would later be made famous through rap and street culture. On social media, K.I. was as ruthless as she was in the streets. Her Twitter feed was a mix of grief, taunts, and open threats, sometimes posting emotional messages about lost friends, then following them up with talk of revenge. That mix of pain and aggression made her one of the first young gang figures to use social media as a weapon. Her story came to a brutal end on April 11, 2014, Good Friday. That morning, she tweeted, "I do what I do because I know God got a day for me," almost as if she knew what was coming. Later that day, she made a fatal mistake by posting her location on Twitter, revealing that she was on the 6400 block of South Eberhard Avenue in Woodlawn. Not long after, as she walked with friends, a gunman jumped out of a car and opened fire. K.I. was hit 9 times in the chest, neck, and jaw. Witnesses said the shooter even waved bystanders out of the way before unloading his weapon. She tried to fight for her life, staggering to some nearby steps before collapsing. She was pronounced dead shortly after at the hospital.
It's still under investigation what exactly happened Friday afternoon in the 6400 block of South Eberhard, but neighbors say Barnes and a friend were walking along the sidewalk when a gunman started firing.
Her death shocked even the people who had feared her. Many in her circle grieved deeply, and her mother's heartbreaking reaction summed it up best. She said she was finally relieved that she didn't have to constantly worry about her daughter's safety anymore. Years later, police documents surfaced naming Chicago rapper and rival gang member Davon King Von Bennett as the suspected shooter, but without solid evidence, no charges were ever filed. Tyosha Mitchell. At 25, she was a mother of 2, known by friends as a caring woman who loved cooking, doing hair, and working as a nurse. But behind that normal life was a dark reality. She was the highest-ranking female member of the Norfolk-based Madstone Bloods, a subset of the almighty Black Pea Stone Nation, also known as the Vietnam Baby Guerrilla Gang. For a long time, Tyosha wanted out. She was tired of the chaos, the fear, and the control that came with being in the gang. But leaving wasn't as simple as walking away. The gang had rules, and to officially leave, she had to go through what they called a beating out. It was meant to be a punishment and a test of loyalty. On May 6, 2023, that rule turned deadly. In the early hours of that morning, Tyosha and her boyfriend were at her Richmond apartment when 4 gang members, 3 women and 1 man, showed up. What started as an argument turned into a savage beating. Witnesses said the attack lasted for 31 seconds, long enough to leave her on the ground, curled up in pain. At one point, a man even lifted her up so the beating could continue.
3 women and a man assaulted Mitchell at her Richmond apartment shortly after midnight on May 6, saying they tried beating her out of the gang, meaning she would no longer be a member.
You'd think it would have ended there, but it didn't. Not long after, 4 of the attackers returned, this time with another member, Jaquan Jones. Some were masked and a few carried guns. They forced Tyosha into a black Hyundai Sonata and drove her nearly an hour east to a remote area off Old Williamsburg Road in York County, Virginia. There, she was dragged from the car, and Jones and another member, Donisha Goodman, executed her. Her body was discovered by a jogger the next morning. She had been shot multiple times in the head, back, abdomen, legs, and even the buttocks.
In May 2023, a jogger found the body of 25-year-old Tyosha Mitchell on the side of the road in York County. She'd been shot 8 times.
When investigators began piecing things together, they found shell casings that matched markings on a 9mm cartridge recovered from the car. It didn't take long for police to connect the dots. 5 gang members were eventually arrested and pleaded guilty to federal charges tied to her kidnapping and murder. The gang leader, Hezekiah Carney, and shooter Jaquan Jones both received 38 years in prison. Goodman got 35 years, while Jamaica Langley was sentenced to 20 years for conspiracy to commit kidnapping. Tara Correa McMullen. Born Shalva McMullen was a rising young actress who seemed to have a bright future ahead of her. Many people knew her from her role as Graciela Reyes, a reformed gang member on the TV series Judging Amy, and from her appearance in the movie Rebound. Ironically, the same kind of life she portrayed on screen was the one she eventually got pulled into in real life. By early 2005, at just 16 years old, Tara had moved out of her mother's home and was living on her own in an apartment in Inglewood, California. She started dating a 26-year-old gang member named Christopher Avery, and soon she became deeply involved in his world. It was a rural in Inglewood, California.
16.
She started dating a 26-year-old gang member named Christopher Avery, and soon she became deeply involved in his world. It was a world filled with danger, and it didn't take long before it claimed her life.
Her mother told us that she was dating this guy, and he's a bad guy, and
old as hell, want somebody that's super young.
That's
over
where the
10 years
trouble
younger
began.
On the night of October 21st, 2005, around 9:15 p.m., Tara was outside her apartment complex on Centinela Boulevard, hanging out with a few people. Out of nowhere, a man later identified as gang member Damian Watts pulled up and opened fire. The shooting was believed to be a part of a string of retaliations. Watts' gang had been attacked the day before, and this was his way of striking back. Tara was hit several times as she tried to run for safety, collapsing near the entrance of her building. She died on the spot before help could arrive. 2 other people were shot but survived. Watts was in the middle of a violent 2-day rampage. The day before, he had already killed a 31-year-old man named Thomas Sanders, and Tara's death came less than 24 hours later. After his arrest, Watts was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and multiple gang-related charges. The court didn't hold back. He received 5 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole in 2009. His accomplice, Joseph Wayne Jones, was also given life without parole. Moesha Matadine. She was just 23, but she had already built a fierce reputation in Philadelphia's underworld. Originally from St. Catherine, Jamaica, she came to the United States and quickly got involved in gang life. She was connected to a man named Kenroy Thomas, the leader of a crew tied to the notorious Jamaican One Order gang. Moesha wasn't someone who stood in the background. She was active, helping to plan and execute violent missions, and her name started to carry weight in the streets. Surveillance footage once caught her driving the getaway car during a shooting, showing just how deep she was in the mix. Her gang wasn't just fighting local enemies. They were waging full-on street wars for control of Philadelphia's drug trade. Reports said her crew had taken out at least 11 members of a rival group as part of their campaign for dominance. The money they made from their crimes didn't just stay in the US. Some of it was funneled back to Jamaica to help fund more gang activity there. For years, the police had her on their radar but could never pin enough evidence to make an arrest stick. But Moesha's rise in that violent world came with a price. Her downfall came during an intense period of gang warfare in Philadelphia. According to investigators, she was set up by rivals and ambushed in a hit that looked like pure revenge. The attack happened around 11:30 p.m. in the Germantown neighborhood. Surveillance cameras caught a white van pulling up, and 6 armed men jumped out and started firing at a group standing on the corner. In just a few seconds, nearly 87 shots rang out. When the smoke cleared, Moesha had been hit 11 times, taking multiple bullets to the chest and torso.
Police say around 87 shots were fired, sending 6 people to the hospital, including a 21-year-old woman shot several times in the chest and torso.
She was rushed to the hospital in critical condition but didn't survive the night. Her death hit hard in both Philadelphia and back home in Jamaica. One local observer, shaken by the news, said, "I can't tell you what went wrong, and I don't know what got into this lady's mind or her heart. This young girl, I wouldn't even call her a lady because she didn't even reach that stage, just a young girl who gave her life away and chose that kind of life." Shawnee's infant China Dyer. She was a young member of the East Coast Crips from South Central Los Angeles. In 2019, when she was only 17, Dyer took part in a brutal double murder that would shock even a city as hardened as LA. Along with 2 other members of her gang, she targeted and killed 2 innocent men, Alfredo Carrera and Jose Flores Velasquez, simply because they were standing in rival gang territory claimed by Florencia 13. The shooting wasn't personal. It was an order from an older gang member who told them to put in some work to get back at Florencia 13 after one of their own had been killed. But what made it worse was that the victims had nothing to do with a gang war. Carrera was an expectant father who was out exchanging baby shower gifts with his pregnant fiancée. She watched in horror as he was gunned down right in front of her. Flores, on the other hand, was a PhD candidate and a bright young mind who had just accepted a job with NASA. The gunfire was so random and close range that no one had a chance to react. A third person who tried to protect his 1-year-old daughter was also hit in the back during the chaos.
Brother Alfredo Carrera and his friend Jose Flores Velasquez were murdered in South Los Angeles simply because they were standing in a rival gang. Alfredo was about to be a father, and Jose was a student at UCI who had just accepted a job with NASA.
Later, Dyer admitted she was the one who pulled the trigger and even sent a text saying she was happy to be on the news. Because of how cold and deliberate the murders were, then District Attorney Jackie Lacey wanted to try her as an adult, but things changed when George Gascon took over as DA in 2020. His new policy banned trying juveniles as adults, so Dyer's case was moved to juvenile court. She was convicted of both murders but served less than 4 years. In February 2023, she was released.
That's crazy.
17-year-old Shawnee's Dyer, a member of the East Coast Crips, was charged with premeditated murder by District Attorney Jackie Lacey and was set to be tried as an adult when George Gascon took office in 2020. Dyer was tried as a juvenile. She was in custody less than 4 years for 2 murders.
Her details didn't sit well with the victims' families who felt justice hadn't been served. Carrera's sister called her a cold-blooded killer and said this was exactly what happens under lenient laws. Tragically, only a few months after her release, in June 2024, Dyer was back in the headlines, this time accused of helping 2 fellow East Coast Crips kill a 21-year-old man named Joshua Streeter in Pomona. Prosecutors and former officials called it a predictable tragedy, saying it should never have happened if she had stayed behind bars. Now, Dyer once again faces new murder charges. Patricia Tawana Thomas. She and her killer were barely teenagers, yet already wrapped up in the violent cycle of loyalty and revenge that ruled the streets of Los Angeles County. Both girls had once been part of the same crew, the 118th Street East Coast Crips, but things changed when Patricia made a move that, in gang culture, was seen as unforgivable. She decided to leave the Crips and align herself with their sworn enemies, the Bloods.
Oh, you flipping, you
That
pancake?
switch set off a storm. To make matters worse, the 2 girls were also reportedly feuding over the same boyfriend. The mix of betrayal, jealousy, and gang pride created a deadly combination. On June 2nd, 1989, Patricia's former friend armed herself and went looking for her. Witnesses said she told people she was going to smoke Patricia, meaning she planned to kill her. That day, Patricia walked out of her house wearing red, the color of the Bloods. Her former friend spotted her, pulled out a gun, and shot her at point-blank range. The bullet hit Patricia in the chest, killing her instantly. Afterward, the young shooter didn't hide what she had done. She went around bragging to others in the gang that she had killed a swan, which was a term the Crips used to insult Blood members. When she was caught, prosecutors charged her with first-degree murder. On August 3, 1989, she was convicted and sentenced to 27 years to life in Compton Juvenile Court. But because she was only 13 at the time of the crime, the law required that she be released when she turned 25. Erica Johnson. Her murder in West Los Angeles was one of those cold, calculated crimes that showed just how far gangs would go to protect their own. It happened on February 28, 1985. Just hours before her death, Erica had been served a subpoena to testify against Kevin Goff, the feared leader of the Playboy Gangster Crips, in an assault case. She wasn't hiding or looking for trouble, she was simply caught up in something much bigger than her. But to the gang, her testimony meant danger, and they weren't going to let that happen. Two young men, Glenn Martell, 20, and Jedrick Bond, 19, who were eager to earn their stripes in the Playboy Gangster Crips, decided that silencing her was their ticket in. They lured Erica into a car pretending to be friendly. Once inside, Bond pulled out a gun and shot her 4 times in the face. It was execution style, cold and merciless. The police eventually caught them, and during their transport in the squad car, they were secretly recorded talking about the murder like it was nothing. Martell was overheard bragging that he didn't care about what would happen next. "If I go to jail, I can still watch TV, listen to the radio, and eat plenty of grub," he said. Both men were convicted of first-degree murder in 1986, but even then, Martell showed no remorse. During sentencing, as Erica's parents wept in court, he reportedly grinned at them, as if proud of what he'd done. Her case remains one of the darkest examples of gang intimidation silencing justice. Magnolia.
First of all, bro, you mean to tell me y'all literally went and did that just to get locked up for it, talking about earning stripes? Just to get locked up for it with the stripes that you earn? That's the dumbest shit in the world to me. Is that not? Like, some people really need to be mentally evaluated, because is that not just, alright, I guess, bro, because what are you even talking about? What's the point of going to get some stripes if you gonna get locked up for what you do? And you don't care about getting locked up. You don't even care. Alright, dude.
Magnolia Shorty. Renetta Yamika Lowe Bridgewater, better known as Magnolia Shorty, was a New Orleans legend, one of the queens of bounce music and an early artist on Cash Money Records. She came up in the Magnolia Projects, the same place that produced stars like Juvenile and Soulja Slim. Even as her fame grew, she never forgot her roots, but those same streets that shaped her world would also be where her life ended. On December 20th, 2010, Magnolia Shorty, just 28 years old, pulled into the parking lot of her gated apartment complex in New Orleans East. Riding with her was her friend, 25-year-old Jerome Madman Hampton, a young man she was trying to mentor in music. Her family had warned her to stay away from him. Hampton had a reputation, and word was he was into some serious street trouble. As she drove in, a white Crown Victoria tailed her, circling before cutting her off at a speed bump. Inside were the members of the notorious 39ers gang. 4 gunmen jumped out. One of them was Gregory Stewart, a known shooter who would later confess. They surrounded her car and opened fire from every angle, even climbing on top of the vehicle and shooting through the sunroof. Magnolia tried to escape but lost control and crashed into a fence. More than 50 shell casings were found at the scene. She was hit 26 times and died alongside Hampton.
Tonight that one of the victims of a double murder in broad daylight earlier today was indeed a popular local rapper. Fans are turning to the internet to mourn the loss of the second female rapper to sign on with Cash Money Records.
Investigators later learned the real target was Hampton. He'd been plotting to take out Merle Offray, the 39ers leader, and the gang struck first. Shorty was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. When news broke, it rocked the city. Lil Wayne took to social media saying RIP to my big sister Magnolia Shorty. This is a crazy world. Her family was devastated. One relative said they collapsed upon hearing the news, unable to believe it was real. Prosecutors vowed to make the killers pay. They don't show any breaks to the people of this community, said District Attorney Leon Canizero. We're going to give them no breaks either. Eventually, 10 members of the 39ers were convicted in connection to the murder. A year later, tragedy struck again. Magnolia Shorty's husband, Carl Bridgewater, was also gunned down. Bloody Mary.
That's tough.
Her name...
Man, hold on. Real quick. Look, if anybody watching this that knows me, it might be at my funeral, if I just so happen to go, I don't want no cardboard, nothing, no cardboard, whatever that is, no, whatever. I don't have no shirts. Don't put me on no damn shirt. Especially if something happened to me like this. Don't put me on no shirt. What's wrong with you? Don't even put RIP. Like, what? I don't know. That just don't sit well with me. That's embarrassing to me personally. Maybe that's stupid, but I don't care. That's embarrassing. I better not see. If anybody who got an RIP shirt on at my funeral, my face on it, I'm haunting you. It is what it is. I'm haunting you. I'm haunting your ass. It's over with. For sure. Hopefully you don't think that I'm bullshitting, because I'm not. Do whatever I got to do to bring my ass right back down here and mess with you for the rest of your life. I don't know what it is, especially if something happened to me and ain't nothing happened to the killers. I don't even want no funeral where somebody slide on me and catch me lacking. Don't even have no funeral. Leave my body where it's at or whatever. Dispose of it quickly. Go do what you supposed to do. Do what you know I want you to do. I know it's probably gonna be some people who are so people supposed to throw their lives away just because something happened. Yes. Duh. What you talking about? I'm very good to people. I deserve that. But stay out the street. You wouldn't have to, I ain't gonna say you might not have to worry about it, because crazy, tragic. You see the dude that was about to become a father, he ain't do nothing to nobody. Hey, man.
Tragedy Falks, also known as Nene X,
Crazy
was a
world.
Compton powerhouse. Born in Steubenville, Ohio in 1970, she moved to California and became deeply tied to the Blood and Piru sets, especially Eastside Fruittown Piru and Avenue Piru. But beyond the gang ties, Bloody Mary made her mark in hip-hop history as the first and only female representing the Bloods on the infamous 1993 Bangin' on Wax album, a project that brought actual Crips and Bloods together to rap about life in the streets. Her voice was deep, commanding, and raw, so much so that many listeners thought she was a man when they first heard her. Her verse on Piru Love stood out as one of the best on the record. In 1994, she dropped her solo album She's Dangerous under the name Nene X. Later, she even got into a short-lived rap beef with Miami's Luther Luke Campbell, firing back with a track called F. Luke. Bloody Mary's journey took her through the heart of the industry. After leaving Dangerous Records due to money issues, she signed with Suge Knight's Death Row Records, right as the label was at its peak. Things were looking up, but fate had other plans. On November 19, 2006, tragedy struck. Bloody Mary was riding her motorcycle through Compton when a police chase broke out nearby. A truck fleeing from officers came speeding down and slammed into her bike. The crash was devastating. She suffered crushed lungs, a shattered hip, and massive brain trauma. Doctors placed her on life support, but she never regained consciousness. Eventually, she was declared brain dead, and her family made the heartbreaking decision to let her go.
That's tough, bro. That's tough. It's a cold world out here, man. It's a cold world out here. Only thing you do is pray every day that you make it back home safe. Pray every day that you make it back home safe. That's all you can do. Man, I hope I don't never have nobody on life support. That got to be one of the worst or hardest decisions ever. Because you don't know, this person might bounce back just randomly one day. And it's like, you just got to... I know it costs money though, for sure. It got to. I know it costs some money. Man. That's gonna do it for this video though, man. Like I say, stay out the streets. Go get you some money. If you gotta get in the streets to get you some money, that's one thing. But if you just in the streets, just be doing dumb stuff, don't expect this not to happen to you. Because 9 times out of 10, people that get in the streets, they get some money, they get the money. It'd be people that want to get in the streets and just don't do nothing. You just be in the streets for no reason. Don't get no money. Just broke, bummy, and got a gun. And got a hat or two. and that's it, and think that something like this ain't gonna happen to you. So, to each their own though. Everybody got their own destiny. Everybody want what they want. I ain't gonna judge you, but if you watching me and you listen to anything that I say, go get you some money, bro. Why would you rather be in the streets than be rich and you can be anywhere? Go be in the streets of France or something. Go get you a couple $1 million change like Gucci Mane or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever though. Like I say, to each their own. Eat fruit, get you some money. Like I say, stay out the streets and catch you in the next one.